John Rivera-Resto, the writer, actor, and producer of Trópico Macbeth, has been a professional artist since he was 16. He is a painter and master of a variety of painting styles, and his large-scale and exquisitely crafted murals have allowed him to pursue his own creative interests. But John's heart has never been into painting. His roots and first love are in the theater, and this love for the theatrical shows in his work. A taste for fashion, travel, the cinema, and a passion for history greatly influence his art. But John's creative instrument of choice is not the brush, but the pen. Considering his artistic skills, it's only natural that he does his own production designs, giving special attention to sets and costumes so that they blend perfectly with the lighting, sound, and music. He begins the design process in the same fashion he prepares for his paintings. First, he makes a list of all the characters in a story and notes down description of their costumes and timelines. Next, he spends months doing meticulous research and making inventories of everything that will serve as visual references. The results are beautifully rendered images of every character in the story, illustrated in detail, showing what needs to be created. Constructing all those costumes and props is a huge undertaking. So John's first order of business was finding the right talent to join the production. But pickings were very slim. He was searching for another designer who could also design and construct most of the costumes, and that was bilingual. Then, after having exhausted all the leads, he struck gold. One of the actors in the production told him about a friend that could sew, and with no other leads to follow, he gave her a call. And since that fateful call, Isis has been John's most valuable asset in all his productions. I'm so glad that Isis is doing this. Her first job was creating all the costumes for the play, The House of Bernarda Alba, and coming up with additional designs to match and complement John's initial renderings. Their collaboration continued with another classic of the Spanish theater, the play Tiempo Muerto, which, like The House of Bernarda Alba, was set in the 1930s. For this production, Isis did all the costumes, and John, in addition to producing and directing, also did the makeup. For Trópico Macbeth, their greatest challenge to date, over 100 historically accurate costumes are being produced between them. But now that you know about Isis, it's time you meet her.
Hi, I'm Isis Quiñones-Torres, and I'm the custom designer for Trópico Macbeth.
Isis, what got you interested in fashion design?
In junior high school, I took a course in sewing, and after making my first project, I knew that I was going to continue to do this in the future.
Did you go to design school after this?
No, I didn't actually go to school. I did have dreams of becoming a designer sometime in the future, but life took a different course, and I went into nursing instead.
So you're a registered nurse?
I am a registered nurse, and after that I decided I had to go back to school, and I became a teacher and then an assistant principal with the Cleveland Public Schools.
So did you abandon your dream or continue doing things on your own?
Oh yeah, I have always been doing some kind of sewing. Even before I took the course at junior high school, I remember as a child doing little things, sewing little items.
Now tell us, how did you get involved in Trópico Macbeth?
A friend recommended me to do designs for a play. That's when I met John, and the play was The House of Bernarda Alba, which was huge.
How was it to work on a historical play, and one with such a large cast?
Doing custom for a play is quite different than doing the little projects that I was doing. It could be complicated. You have to do a lot of research because everything that you're sewing, you want it to match the era of the play.
In addition, you had to work closely with a very demanding director.
Working with John is very interesting. He is like a walking encyclopedia. I have to learn things from him in order to make everything correct, all the customs to meet his needs.
Where do you get the fabrics and materials to match the design?
Fabric is expensive. So what we do is we go to flea markets and we purchase anything that is appropriate. Curtains, bed sheets, even hospital beds, sheets, and we dye them to match the colors that we need for the dresses that we are designing.
This is a lot of work. Why go through all the trouble of making everything from scratch?
Well, it helps the play because everything looks authentic, everything looks fantastic. In addition to that, you have to keep in mind that you have to age the fabric or the costumes that you are making. They have to be like they've been used, they can't look brand new. It's just part of the method that we have to employ while we're doing these plays.
How many costumes are you working on?
For Macbeth, the one that I am currently working on, there's probably going to be over 100 different costumes, and I will be responsible for at least half of those.
What is the process for fitting an actor?
First of all, after you meet them, you have to take their measurements, and I'm talking about the whole body measurement in order to make the costumes.
Since this happened several months before the play, have you had any problems with measurements?
Some of the actors come from countries where they use the metric system. So therefore, I have to convert the metric system into the inches and yards that I need in order to make the costumes.
I've heard stories about actors providing their own measurements.
Yes, there are some difficulties with the ladies. Measurements that do not make sense to me. I call my director to make sure that I'm reading correctly. One of the things that I have found is, especially with the ladies, that the measurements that I receive are sometimes, 2 or 3 inches smaller than when I actually take the actual measurements. This might be a vanity issue, but again, like I'll repeat that once you start doing the costumes, you have to make sure the measurements are correct because you want the costumes to fit well.
Where do you learn to do all these complex costumes?
I consult with John about any issue that I may have. I, of course, utilize YouTube. YouTube has become my teacher in the last several years. I have learned tremendous information about how to sew, especially historical costumes.
Can you buy historical patterns for some of the costumes?
Yes, I get pattern. Some of these patterns come from different countries like France. But of course, these patterns do not look anything like if you were to purchase a pattern today like McCall or Simplicity. So therefore, once you get the pattern, even though they provide instructions, you have to also do some interpretation to make sure that you're cutting the pattern correctly.
What should the public look forward to seeing?
The ladies are going to be wearing 1930s evening gowns that are absolutely fantastic.
Sounds like a movie.
This play is like a movie. There is not going to be a disappointing moment in this play.
Okay.
Come see the play, Trópico Macbeth. Okay, I'm Isis Quiñones, and I hope to see all of you at the play.
I can't wait.
Great.
Thank you so much, Isis.